Welcome to the Rinnycast. Today we have a debate over whether the US and the UK started the Russia-Ukraine war, although it kind of went off into a bunch of different directions because of the two very strong personalities that we had today. I'm not going to waste too much time. Beware if you're a headphone user, because it's definitely loud because I brought Manar reports on. This is a free episode, so if you want the full episodes of the Rinnycast with video all the way, then become a channel member, because these free episodes are going to be pretty few and far between. So if you want full episodes with video, become a channel member. It's only like $5, and you get a lot of content. You get the full episodes of the Rinnycast, you get stream VODs, you get videos early, you get special roles in the Discord, you get access to a Minecraft ROM. You get so much cool shit if you become a member. So enjoy. Yo!
Finally. I'm sorry, guys. Hello?
Hello.
Jesus Christ.
Not much punctuality in this one, huh?
Nope. Nope.
Man, I honestly, not gonna lie, man, I forgot that we're doing this. Appreciate you for
There's no
waiting.
shot you forgot. The title of your stream is debating who bring y'all's homo friends.
You forgot. You literally said 1 minute. He said 1 minute 25 minutes ago.
That's okay.
Oh,
It's
dude,
okay.
kill me.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. You're muted.
Sorry, he kept ringing people, and every time I tried to get out, he kept telling me I'm running or something, so I had to...
I know, I saw that. The host
Yeah,
was
guys,
fucking
my ego. I can't.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's the construction zone. I can't let him keep fucking...
I'm more
Yeah.
goated.
saying
I'm
shit
way
about
cooler
my
than that
name.
guy. Okay. Okay. Here's how this is gonna work.
All right.
Okay.
Let me go see your viewers. Let me see the shit talking.
Not stream. I'm not streaming. I'm just recording it.
Oh,
You're
you're
the
not
only one
live?
streaming this, buddy. This is an exclusive for you. Okay, and then I'm gonna upload it later. So, the proposition was that the US and the UK started the Ukraine war. Correct? We're all on the same page on that, right?
Sure, yeah. So I believe that without US aid currently, and the US ruining the peace talks with the help of UK and the Prime Minister of the UK and G7 Council, we would have had an end, or like we would have never seen an end to the Minsk II agreements. Russia was trying to really extend that Minsk II agreement, the peace talks. And that only happened when Biden and his administration, Anthony Blinken, I remember, went down there, told him, do not sign these peace treaties anymore. The UK Prime Minister, I forgot his name, Boris, he stopped Zelensky from signing these peace agreements as well. And that's the only time that the Minsk II agreements fell through. And that's when the war actually officially started. And all of that was under the heel of the UK, G7, and US funding the Ukrainian warfare to try to weaken Russia, because they believed it to be an extreme enemy of them. And they needed to weaken them, and it was very successful, actually. They were able to weaken them away from Syria. They were able to win Syria. Look at the Venezuela happened because Russia was not in the vicinity, and that's what happened.
Okay, where do we find you, Manar?
I'm Manar Reports. I'm live right now on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. Yeah, I'm a debater. I debate everybody.
Okay, go ahead, Poutine.
Yeah, I'm Poutine. You can find me on TikTok, I guess. I'm not really a content creator. I was under the impression that the debate prompt was the US and UK started the war in 2022. So I don't know if you still believe that. I'm sure that, yeah, Ukraine managed to survive and to keep the fight because of the aid from the West. But I will make the point that the war is still on Russia. Russia decided to invade Ukraine. There is no real justification for it. Nobody forced Russia to start it. You can say that they were justified into going to war, but any other framing is simply wrong. Militarily, Ukraine was not an imminent threat to the Russian military. At the start of the war, only 6,000 soldiers in the Ukrainian army were actually combat ready.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
Just opening statements, and then we'll do back and forth, okay?
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Go. I didn't know I was doing an opening statement. I didn't know that. That wasn't my opening statement. I was just trying to. But okay,
well,
go
you
ahead.
can give an opening statement afterwards.
What a load of bullshit. What a load of bullshit.
That's fine.
I'm gonna
That's
destroy
fine.
you,
Just
by the way. I'm gonna
that's
destroy you,
That's
Poutine.
fine, Renard. Just let him go.
Yeah, so the
Seriously, so you're
Ukraine.
gonna say that Russia was
God
trying to
damn
ruin
it.
Minsk too?
Manar,
Is that what
stop talking.
Oh,
Stop
it's
talking.
a great
Just
start.
let him
Yep.
go. God damn.
Yeah, I'll try to restart. Okay, so the claim that the US and UK have started the invasion of Ukraine is simply incorrect. Russia never had its hand tied, and therefore you cannot say that they were forced to start a full-scale invasion. It's simply false. Russia wanted to have the war. Russia had the choice to not start the war. If they never started the war, Russia will still stand even stronger. The economic damage, all the lives lost, this will have never happened. Militarily, Ukraine was not an imminent threat to the Russian military. They could not even control the entire Donbass. So to say, oh, maybe they will have taken some Russian province is simply false. The reality of the case is that Russia is an ethno-nationalist and imperialist country. Putin has been really clear about his intentions. He doesn't recognize Ukraine as a sovereign state, but simply an extension of Russia. And the full-scale invasion was exactly what he wanted from the start. You can argue that the West has been meddling into Ukrainian affairs and try to pull it into its own sphere of influence, but even granting all of that, that's not a justification to say that the US started it. It like Ukraine is a sovereign nation; they can do whatever the fuck they want. None of this was so harmful to the country of Russia that they were forced to invade Russia. Like, even if they completely stopped trading with Russia, the economic damage or military damage to the Russian forces simply does not justify a full-scale invasion as we've seen. Russia started the war by sending its own troops into Ukraine. It's really that simple.
Okay, so
I'm good.
since that was not your opening statement, Manar, you can give your real opening statement, but make sure you're making a claim and not responding to Poutine's claim, because this whole entire time is going to be cross-examination, okay?
Sure, absolutely. So all of the issues started in 2014. 2014, the Maidan protests. Ukrainian Nazi soldiers came in, burnt Ukrainians in the Donbass. They were trying to get their independence from Ukrainian embassy because they believed that they were Nazis, and they believed that they were not actually uh, providing their best interests, and they wanted to decouple from Ukraine and enter Russia and they begged Russia from 2014 to try to get them military aid. That's when the Minsk agreement started, and to try to halter some of the Donbass activities that the Ukrainians were attacking the Donbass people in. For 8 years straight, the Donbass and the Donbass region people kept begging Putin and Russia to try to alleviate some of the pains, not only from every single protest that they were being attacked and murdered in, but also the Nazification of their city and state was becoming extremely obvious for them, and they were trying to decouple from that. They were begging for 8 years. Russia was trying to do diplomatic talks, starting with the Minsk agreements, ending with Minsk II agreements. And so that's the actual history of the situation. Started not in 2022, like my opponent here wants to make it believe, just like the October 7th started everything. No, everything started actually 2014 when Nazis started murdering Ukrainians in the Donbass region because all they wanted to do was decouple from Ukraine. They wanted their own independence. And what happened was they did their own votes, and they voted up to 80%, I remember, 89% to try to leave the Ukrainian coalition. And the Ukrainians started killing them. So the Donbass region has been fighting since 2014, asking, begging. Russia has been noticing that region and the attacks on it for a while now. I'm not going to argue if Russia has obviously benefits from accepting that region and taking it, because clearly Russia does not want to spend all the resources to try to put all these people in the front line. It's taking a lot of their powers on other fronts, like the Syrian front. They lost the whole Syrian war because of the Ukraine mishap that was sucking a lot of their resources. Also, there's a lot of attacks happening inside Russia. So this is not something Russia wanted or welcomed or was happy for. This is something that Russia was forced to do. So now that we know a little bit about the history of 2014, how everything started and what the Donbass region has been going through and why the Minsk agreements even started, now we have to come back to the Biden administration with the help of the G7, which sanctioned the shit out of Russia, before the war actually started. The sanctioning threats started to happen before the Minsk II agreements fell through. And that was all to pressure Russia to try to get away from that situation. Russia, I'm not understanding. What was Russia supposed to do? Russia was supposed to allow Ukraine to Nazify and enter NATO, put nuclear weapons on their region, and also kill the Donbass people. Sorry, Russia had what they believe an important task, which is to save their Donbass people, to denazify Ukraine, which is the first actual effort of the war, was the demilitarization, denazification of Ukraine. And then also, not only that, they also had the threat of NATO coming and stepping onto their borders, which look at what America does to nations that are bordering them when they believe they sell them a little bit of coke. You want to talk about an imperialist force? America just went in, did sonic attacks, unprecedented secret weapon attacks to explode the internal organs of the military of Venezuela, all in order to destabilize that region, take over and kidnap the president of that region. That's an imperialist force. Did Russia do this? I don't see Russia doing anything like this, where they go into a sovereign country without any that's not threatening them, that did not actually announce anything, and that they actually assume that they control that region, calling the the Don Roe document or whatever it is, policy. That's an imperialist force. That's a force that's trying to take over its nations that are around them. That's a force that's a policing force that's trying to colonialize and control every nation. Russia was forced by this colonial nation to protect itself. It did the right thing. If it didn't, it would have had a Venezuela, because America's disgusting imperialist force. And now that we know the history, that Russia did not force this war, it was actually completely manufactured by Lindsey Graham, the U.S. military complex, to weaken Russia. And we know what the true imperialist force that exists in this world, the J words, the Israelis and the Americans. And you have zero evidence to prove that the Russians tried to do this out of their own benevolence, that they wanted to just steal Ukraine. Give me the evidence that they wanted to just rob Ukraine. Do you have any evidence? All that's been actually documented is that the NATO is an extreme threat of nuclear force, and it's coming against the promises of other historical treaties to the doorstep of Russia. After what happened to Venezuela, they were 100% justified. Now we understand why they actually did not let off the throttle, and they wanted to start this war, because they can see that the true imperial force was America and the UK and the G7 Council.
Okay, so before we go off, okay, I just want
I'm
to
gonna
make clear.
humiliate you.
Okay, I just want to make clear
I'm gonna
what we're gonna
humiliate
do
you.
here. Okay, so this is a podcast, so if you guys are talking over it, like, it's fine if you want to fucking scream or insult. I don't really care. But if you guys are talking over each other, no one can hear what you're saying. So try and minimize that as much as possible in order to make people not want to rip their ears off while they're listening to it. If you want to appear to a moderator to force an answer question or fact check something, just let me know and I'll do whatever I think is reasonable. And don't get my live taken down, okay? But whoever wants to ask the first question can.
Yeah, I would like to respond. He's all over the place. He said so he said so many talking points, and maybe 20% of them were relevant to the
Venezuela. Is that an
prompt.
imperialist action? Is going into Venezuela an imperialist action? I just want to logically test
Manar,
you. I just want to logically test you. I'm logically testing you.
Oh my god. Yeah. The funny thing is, you can ask Renil. I was super against.
Russia is an imperialist force. I want to
stop, Manar. When you ask a question, you need to let him answer.
Okay, but I need him to actually acknowledge that he's going to answer this question. He mentioned the imperialist force is Russia.
He was trying to answer the question.
Let's see, what does he mean by an imperialist force? Is America going into Venezuela and kidnapping the president? Is that an imperialist power?
Yeah, you can ask Renil. When it happened, I was extremely against it because I'm consistent. I'm against what they're doing in Ukraine, just like what they're doing in Venezuela. Both invasions are completely unjustified. I'm against them. So I would like to
and robbing the president of it, kidnapping him. Is that an imperial power? I
just told you,
action.
Hey, buddy, lock in with me. I just said yes.
Oh, so it is an imperial action, and that's equatable to what Russia's doing right now. You're actually
Russia did worse.
It's equatable.
Russia
worse.
is doing worse. Yes.
Russia's worse. Okay, you're gonna get.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain, or can I make an argument? So you were all over the place. Like 20% of that, what you said, is relevant to the prompt. We're saying, did the US cause the war in Ukraine? And by the way, the prompt was about 2022. So I just want to establish, you can say that Russia started the war, but they were justified because of the Nazis in Ukraine. I just think it's really funny. They say all the horrible actions that they were doing to the Donbass wanted to leave. You cannot show me a single poll from Donetsk or Luhansk showing that the majority wanted to leave Ukraine, or that they were begging Russia, that Russia had to do for the goodness of their heart to save the Donbass children. You can look at what they did in Kherson. The Kherson human safari is still going on. They're still, to this day, publishing themselves hunting civilians. They're doing
2014 Donbass referendum. The Donbass referendum was at 89% voting by the Donetsk and Luhansk people to try to decouple and have their own independence in 2014.
Hey, can you show me? Can you send that to me? Can you show me how it was done?
Yeah, look it up. It says the 2014 Donbass referendum.
How many people voted in that?
It's a referendum of the status of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, parts of the Ukraine that together make up the Donbass region, were claimed to have taken place in 11 May 2014 in many towns under the control of Russian Donetsk and Luhansk people republics. These referendums intended to legitimize the establishment of the so-called republics in the context of the Russian invasion of Crimea and rising pro-Russian unrest in the aftermath of 2014 Ukrainian revolution.
I'm not finding. I saw a poll 27.5% were in favor of secession from Ukraine to join the Russian Federation. Like most polls that I'm seeing right now.
So Manar, you have access to the side chat, right?
Yeah, I'll send you the. It says Wikipedia.
Yes, by the way, in 2019, a poll showed that 55% of the separatist-controlled Donbass residents wish to return to Ukraine. So this is the population under control, when I'm pretty sure that by this point, like hundreds of thousands of people already fled the Russian invasion of that part of the Donbass. So like even these regions that should be biased towards Russia didn't even want them there. And also, by the way, this has nothing. The prompt is
the referendum was signed to decouple from Ukraine. They wanted their own independence. Do you agree with me that Donetsk people had the majority? It was 77%.
Can you show me like any institute that recognized this vote? Because it really doesn't seem like there's any legitimate referendum.
I sent you a list of the link of the referendum. And I'm just
I found about. I'm reading about it. Pro-Russian separatists in Donetsk were found with 100,000 pre-marked yes ballots the day before the vote. You could vote as many times as you like. That's not a real referendum. It's a fucking joke. It's so open to fraud. There's evidence of fraud, and polls afterwards showed that they didn't want annexation. I don't trust this referendum at all. There's no data afterwards that shows this. Like even years after the annexation, we're not seeing any of this data. Even public polling in the regions controlled by the separatists.
I have a May 12 article right now. It says organizers of Sunday. I sent it in the link. Organizers of Sunday's independence referendum. This is a one day after the referendum. In Ukraine's eastern Ukrainian region of Donetsk, say 89% of those who cast ballots, and they say 75% of the country, the region came to cast ballots. 89% of the cast ballot favor of seceding from Ukraine. The results were announced just 3 hours after the polls closed and after reporters were told they would not be ready. The separatists say 10% rejected independence. Only 10% of the Donetsk people rejected the independence. 89% of them wanted the independence from Ukraine. This is from May 12, 2020.
Yeah, I don't trust this referendum. Like you were able to vote as many times as you could. Pro-Russian separatists in Donetsk were found with 100,000 pre-marked yes ballots the day before the vote. Like I don't trust it, and there's no data because you can look in your own Wikipedia article. Like most polls, if not all polls, show the opposite. This sentiment was not reflected in any polling afterward. It really seems like a fraudulent referendum. And by the way, this doesn't prove your prompt. This doesn't prove your prompt. If
I will say, for example, just for the sake of transparency, I will say that the article says separatists say that 10% rejected independence and that turnout was 75%. The early results are impossible to independently verify because there was no international monitors present in Donetsk. A VOA reporter in Donetsk described the election as shambles with no clear procedures at the tallying box, reports of multiple voting, and makeshift ballot boxes. The head of Separatist Election Commission, Roman Latkian, told VOA multiple voting was impossible because people had to queue for about a half hour. Therefore, no other precautions were necessary.
Yeah, so sounds like it's actually something that would have deterred people from voting, not increased it. And still, we got those votes. And so I don't know what the argument is there. But anyways, so Putin, but let's get back to this. So now that I showed you that there is evidence to show that Donetsk region wanted to decouple and they wanted their own independence from the region, do you disagree with me that the Maidan events started to happen? That was a terrorist attack by the Ukrainian regime against the Donetsk people. Do you agree with me on that? That they burned these people
That was
alive?
a terrorist attack by the regime. Like, wasn't the regime by then during Euromaidan Yanukovych?
Okay, so no, because they were trying to get rid of Yanukovych. It was the Nazis that were actually trying
The
to.
Nazis, yeah.
Yeah, it was the people that actually tried to shut people down from the vote. Yanukovych invited people to vote. Other Nazis were trying to stop them from going to the vote. That's why they closed down the voting. I remember it was a municipal building or something, and they burnt it down, killing almost 100 people that day.
Which one?
The Maidan terrorist attacks.
Yeah, which one? Which building? Which city? Which oblast? Also, like, can you link it to, because we're debating like Manar, the debate is about did US start the 2022 full-scale invasion? Can you link that together?
Okay, so did the US start the 2022 US invasion? 100% yes. Okay, let me
Russia
give you
sent
the
the troops. Russia sent the troops.
Yeah, okay, but Russia tried. Did Russia try to do? Did Russia immediately send troops, or did they try to have peace talks first? What did Russia try to do?
Yeah, they had the Minsk too that failed on both sides, and they still sent the invasion.
What did the US tell Zelensky, who, by the way, till now they meet with Zelensky, till now they're funding him. What did they actually tell him to do about the Minsk II agreements? Did they tell him to sign them, or did they tell him to go against those Minsk II agreements?
The Minsk II agreements were signed.
Yeah. Anthony Blinken. What did Anthony Blinken tell Zelensky when he came and visited him in 2020?
And Anthony Blinken had nothing to do with Minsk II. There's like a timeline. Blinken entered the actual negotiations afterward. Like, there's no relationship between the two. I don't think you know what Blinken actually did.
I don't think you actually know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay.
In the lead up to the full-scale invasion, the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky navigated intense diplomatic efforts regarding the Minsk agreements, Minsk II. During this period, their position emphasized a need for security with a strong focus on preventing further Russian aggression. So Anthony Blinken was directly diving in and speaking to and dealing with the same negotiations with Zelensky for the Minsk II agreements.
They already knew that Russia was sending troops to the border, and they were warning Zelensky that if they're going to be attacked, then the US will stand with them. What's wrong with that? How is this the US forcing them? That's Blinken going to Ukraine saying, hey, they might invade, but we will support you. Like, Russia was already planning the invasion before the Blinken talk. Like, how is this the US causing Russia to send the troops? They were already putting troops at the border to start the invasion.
But Anthony Blinken is the one that refused the proposal to extend the negotiations of Minsk II and told Zelensky to stop that.
Source?
Okay, I'll bring you the source.
How could Blinken force Ukraine to do so?
So are you disagreeing that Anthony Blinken, with the help of Boris, they were all meeting Zelensky before the fight started?
Yeah, Blinken met with Zelensky. That doesn't prove that they forced Russia into invading. Also, even if the US fucked up the negotiations, they're just justifying the invasion by Russia. That doesn't mean that they were forced to invade. Russia could have stayed in their own country, not doing jack shit about Ukraine, and they will be good. The debate is, did the US force Russia into the war? No, Russia went on its own to invade Ukraine.
So when the US tells Russia, we will never move NATO 1 inch to the east, and then act like they're going to introduce NATO to Finland and Ukraine, how is that not a transgression to diplomatic talks and an act of war? Do they have to wait till America comes and kidnaps President Putin, or? Is that the
No,
only active force?
the quote you're saying is just a quote by the state secretary talking to Gorbachev. This was not in the formal agreement that they signed afterward. Even Gorbachev said that this was never part of any agreement. And in
What
1997,
quote? What quote?
the quote you're saying, not 1 inch eastward. That's a quote from the state secretary when he talked with Gorbachev about
and this is known.
expansion into Eastern Germany. It was first of all about Germany, not other countries. And in 1997, Russia
was
and NATO. No, I'm saying that NATO and Russia had a treaty saying that they could expand, which is why in 1999 the Baltic countries as well as other countries were allowed by Russia to join NATO. I can send you that treaty if you want. It's called the NATO-Russia Founding Act of
Whatever
May
you cite, if you could put it in the
15,
side chat, that'd be great.
97. Yep. I'm on my phone for the Discord call. I don't know if I can send it inside chat from my
Or
computer.
DM it to me, or do what you can.
I'll do it. Yep, to you. Like, also, I don't know how you could even claim that NATO expansion forced Russia to invade. Like, countries asked to be part of NATO, and NATO was not a real danger. Like, Russia has nukes. There's no world where any country would be stupid enough to invade Russia. Russia has been sending drones into Poland, into even Romania, and they didn't do anything about it. Europe is essentially a continent of fucking cocks. They are not doing shit. It's not a threat.
If Russia, let me ask you something. If you're arguing that America was actually promoting the peace talks, they actually wanted a peace in the region, right? You're arguing that? Did they want the war or did they not want the war, USA?
I don't think they wanted the war.
Okay, so you're arguing they didn't want the war. They actually wanted the peace talks to go through, right?
Yeah, but they because of their intelligence, they knew that they were preparing a full-scale invasion.
When Putin asks NATO to stop extending and accepting Ukraine and stop that threat of adding Ukraine, if USA really cared about these negotiations and cared about de-escalating, why did they not give another avenue of diplomatic talks? Or maybe introduce new ideas? Why did they keep forcing this issue that no matter what Russia wants, we don't care. If we want to invite Ukraine into NATO, we're going to do it no matter who cares, who says, who, whatever. How does that how does that increase your strength of America actually caring about diplomatic peace talks and caring about ending aggression? If it seems like they're actually not diplomatic at all, they're not accepting any negotiations or peace talks, and they just want their will to be made forcefully, no matter who disagrees with it.
Yeah, so NATO is a security guaranteed, and you need to have like secure borders to, in the first place, join NATO.
Russia said, don't do that.
Well, you asked him a question. I want to respond.
Yeah, but he's not answering my question.
No, what I'm saying is that them wanting Ukraine in NATO shows that they wanted peace, because there's no world where Ukraine at
peace. How did that show you that they want peace? If I ask you, stop. If you want diplomat, if me and you were forces of military prowess.
Manar. If you want to join,
you're lying. How does that? You're just shows that they wanted peace. Show me how.
Let him respond.
Manar, if you want to join NATO, you have to be a country at peace. Other countries trying to have Ukraine join NATO shows that they want Ukraine to be at peace, because they know that it will be a violation of the constitution of NATO to have a country at war join NATO.
Your argument is that if you want to join NATO, you want to have peace? That's your argument?
Yeah,
where's the evidence? Where's the evidence for that?
No, you made the claim that them wanting...
Because NATO nations their job is literally to help and protect their military allies in times of non-peace.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that them actively trying to have Ukraine join NATO doesn't show that they wanted war with Russia. It shows that they wanted to avoid war and that they wanted a security guarantee.
Okay, when I ask you, like look at the. Okay, so if America asks Venezuelan president, hey, stop bringing coke, and he brings coke, how is that not to them an act of aggression? To them, they justified it. This is an act of aggression. We told him stop doing crime. He wants to present crime, so we're just gonna kidnap him and get rid of him. You're saying a military prowess and force like Russia cannot ask another diplomatic nation to stop militarily setting up zones around us that are antithesis to our continuance. We're a nuclear force. We do not like this. We are a diplomatic entity, and we want to have peace talks. But America refuses to have any peace talks, does not decline NATO's membership, instead keeps extending it till now. There's no membership. They just kept. It was actually a lie. They were never going to introduce this NATO. They were just trying to entice Russia, because Ukraine will never enter NATO ever. So they knew that they could have. They were never going to enter Ukraine into NATO. It hasn't entered NATO yet. Why didn't they just say, "Listen, we agree with you. We will stop these negotiations. We want peace. We're a country that loves peace. We and the Ukrainians. We want this peace. So why don't we come back to the Minsk II agreement? Let's give this. Let's give a couple of regions whatever they want, and you won't get NATO. And then Russia, you give out some stuff as well." But what happened was they refused to listen to any of the negotiations. They refused to listen to any of the begging of Russia, literally begging them to stop introducing Ukraine to NATO. Instead, pushed this agenda no matter what. What is your argument, you piece of shit? What the fuck is your argument, you son of a bitch? What the fuck is your argument? Fuck you. Fuck you.
We can be chill. I'm
What
nice.
is your argument? How do you know that America wanted peace? How do you know America wanted peace? How do you know does America want peace with Venezuela?
Can I respond?
Can you respond? Can you answer that single question? Does America want peace with Venezuela?
Doesn't seem like it. So
how do you know?
My response.
How do you know?
Let him go, Manar. Calm down. Let him go.
He needs to answer. How does he know? Isn't it because of the posturing of America and how they're treating the country?
Manar, you can't scream a question and then scream 5 more questions afterward. You need to let him answer the first question.
There seems to be a...
Stop talking, Manar, please, for the love of God.
Moderator, shut the fuck up, moderator. Shut the fuck up, moderator.
That's how it works, Manar. You need to let him answer. It's my show, buddy.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, moderator. Moderator, shut the fuck up,
you
moderator.
Ask him a question. He needs to be able to answer the question, Manar.
Ask the question, you son of a bitch. Shut the fuck up.
You already did answer the question. You already did ask the question. Let him answer.
Shut the fuck up. Does he know what my question is? What is my question?
Your question is...
They see how you're a fucking bitch, moderator? Shut the fuck up, moderator. Stop fucking moderating like a pig. You fucking pig eater.
All right, so I'm trying to respond. You made many points.
Putin, you son of a bitch. Listen to me, you fucking...
My mom's not a bitch.
Stop.
No,
he's not. Go.
No, she's not.
God damn.
Mother. Yeah, there's a whore. Let me finish, please.
No,
Let me
she's
finish.
not.
Wait, no, Manar, no, you finished. Stop, Manar. Let him go.
All right. So, how do you know that?
No, let me respond. It's my turn. No. You spoke for 3 minutes.
Bro,
you have for 3 minutes.
Manar, I don't want to mute you. I swear to God, I do not want to mute you. You have to let him respond to the question.
You asked 2 questions. You asked 2 main questions. You have the pivot about Venezuela. I'm not engaging with that. I'm engaging with the NATO talk. So, just because... for example, NATO...
He's not going to answer my question. He just said he's not going to answer my question. I'm not going to allow him to keep...
No, I'm not engaging with the pivot. I'm going about the main question.
You don't need to allow anything. Oh, okay. Well...
Did he leave?
Yeah. I server muted him and he left. I mean...
Oh my fucking...
Go ahead and respond. Well, there he is.
Yeah. So,
go ahead and respond and then I'll unserver mute him. I don't know why he keeps leaving.
So... I don't know. So, my response would be... Like, just because they don't concede to one bad demand by Russia doesn't mean that they're fucking over the negotiations. That doesn't mean that. Like, them saying, no, we want peace, but we still want them in NATO doesn't mean that, we're forcing Russia to start the war. That's not justification to do a full-scale invasion. So, like,
okay.
That's it. And
so we got
there seems to be a problem.
So, you want to debate me. Can you shut the fuck up, moderator? Do you want me to leave? Do you want me to leave? Do you want me to leave?
If you want to leave, that's your prerogative. I just want to make sure that if you ask a question to somebody, that they get the opportunity to respond to the question that you ask. You're literally screaming so loud that it's not even picking up through your microphone, Manar. Lock in. You're screaming so loud that your gain is actually making it so none of your statements are coming through. I can only hear your breaths. So I just want to let you know that when you ask somebody a question, you need to let them respond to the question, and you need to back up from your microphone a little bit because no one can hear a goddamn thing that you're saying, big dog.
Dog. You're a moderator. Shut the fuck up, you fucking dog. Okay, how do you know that Venezuela does not want peace talks? How do you know?
No,
How
Venezuela
do you know
want peace
America
talks.
does
It's
not want peace talks with Venezuela? How do you know?
because they just took the country's leader
Because of
illegally.
their actions, right? Because what they're doing, because of how they're dealing with the country, right? So when America's dealing with Russia and tells them we refuse to accept any of your negotiations, we refuse to we decline any of your offers, we want to do whatever we want forcefully, we don't give a fuck about what you want, does that show you that America's posturing for peace, or is it posturing for something else?
No,
And how
Manar,
am I
just
supposed
because
to know except for their actions?
Manar, just because they
Hey,
refuse
don't talk to
one
me. Answer
Manar,
to the
just
question. Don't
because they
put some-
refuse one demand doesn't mean that they want war. It was one demand, NATO membership. Russia doesn't dictate what NATO does, what Ukraine joins.
Okay, but
That's
like you agreed with me, only way for us to know what the country is posturing to do with another country is the way they're deploying their talks and their diplomacy in public. The diplomacy in public was they refused to have any talks, they refused any negotiations.
that's not false. That's false. That's false.
Yeah.
They had talks. They had talks. Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 were talks. They
And
had
who was
deals.
actually negotiating? Was it Russia or was it America? Who was negotiating? Who wanted to actually
Ukraine.
negotiate and get to an agreement? Was it
Ukraine.
America?
No, it was Ukraine and Russia. They were both countries. They had support from allies, but
Why
that's
did Ukraine refuse to denatify? Why did Ukraine refuse to just promise that we will not denatify? Listen to me about Putin. Putin, the only way for you to know that Venezuela and America are not in peace with each other is the way they actually treat each other in public. So when I see another country treating another country like shit, how are you going to argue? Because of your fucking shit intellect. By the way, you don't know anything. I've proved to you at the beginning of the debate, you don't know any of the information. You didn't even know that 89% of the Donetsk region
fucking god.
to decouple from the Ukrainian war. So you actually don't know anything. So you cannot just say, I believe they wanted peace. You have to provide evidence, you son of a bitch. It's like I'm telling you, your mother is a whore because she has a big body count and you look like a bitch. I have evidence.
Okay, can we have a back and forth? Because I say like something in 5 seconds and you yap for like 2 minutes and you just scream, and because of your scream, you're cutting out. So my response would be just not accepting one request doesn't mean that they want war. You can, in negotiations, you can say no to some things.
We're talking past
Like,
each other.
I don't
So, Putin, here's the
yeah,
problem.
wait. I just want to establish this one thing. Ukraine refusing to drop NATO membership doesn't mean that they want war, but in your mind, doing a full-scale invasion.
Sure.
What else does it mean? What else does it mean?
The problem is the problem we're running into here. We can't even hear you. The problem we're running into is that Manar is arguing. I'm literally trying to help you here, Manar. I don't know why we're going so crazy. The problem is that Manar is arguing that the U.S. pushing for NATO to join NATO, or pushing for Ukraine to join NATO, is an aggressive action, right? So if the U.S. is engaging in aggressive action against Russia, like trying to pressure Ukraine to join NATO, then that is U.S. aggression that shows that they want some sort of conflict with Russia, right? So what is your response to the idea that pushing for NATO membership is an aggressive act by the United States? Unless Manar rejects, hold on. Yeah. Unless Manar rejects that characterization of his argument that I just gave.
He just said NATO, not Ukraine, not refusing the NATO membership was not an act of war. Can he justify that? Can you justify?
Yes,
how do you know that? How do you know that? What evidence do you have?
It's not an act of war because NATO membership. Manar, you asked me to justify. I'm doing that. Does he know that we can't understand him when he's screaming? His mic doesn't catch everything. Manar, we can't hear you. When you scream into the mic, your mic doesn't detect the actual words.
Can you justify what you said?
I'm trying to, but you cut me off.
How do you know it wasn't an act of war?
It's not an act of war because NATO membership isn't a threat to Russia. It's not an invasion. It's not a strike. It's just membership.
You're just saying it. You have zero justification, zero evidence. Russia claims that it is a threat to them. Russia claims they're bringing nuclear weapons.
They're wrong. They're wrong.
These talks that we had, negotiations that you conceded to with Gorbachev. You son of a bitch. You can't just say something from your shit brain. I already tested you. You have zero logic. You don't know anything. You son of a dog! Brenda!
Lock in. Manar, lock in. Okay?
Okay.
You're
How do
focused.
you know?
So,
How do you know entering NATO is not an act of war? How do you know that?
Okay, so we've heard the
because it's not
question,
an
so
actual.
there's no need to reiterate the question anymore. Okay, we heard the question. Stop.
I don't want to know from
Stop.
small
Stop.
brain.
Stop. Manar, stop. For the love of God. We heard the question. Let him respond, please.
All right. So I reject the framing that joining NATO is an act of war. Russia can say, "Oh, it's an act of war to us." It's objectively is not an act of war. It's like an invasion. It's like sending troops. It's like bombing the country.
Why?
It's not.
Why? That's the question. Why?
He doesn't understand that I cannot understand his
I'm not going to
words.
let you say anything without justifying
He's
it.
saying why. He's saying, why do you believe that it's not an aggressive act? That's what he's asking you.
Yeah, I don't believe it because I can. And because an act of war is things like sending missiles. It's like killing people in another country. It's like a physical invasion. It's not an act of war because it's not arming the nation of Russia.
How do you
I know that because the mere membership in NATO is not arming Russia. It's not a threat.
If sending a rocket into another territory is an act of war, then how is posturing with NATO, who are literally a weapons and rocket manufacturer, to posture to introduce them into your nation next to on the border of the other Russian nation? How is that literally not a declaration of war if, according to you, it's a weapon that makes the war start, and NATO is a literal weapons agreement and weapons manufacturing agreement? How is that literally not destroying your shit argument, you son of a bitch?
Because it's really simple. Sending weapons into Ukraine is not sending weapons into Russia to bomb them. There's a difference. Ukraine is not Russia.
How do you know that?
I can't understand you when you scream.
Sending weapons to bomb Russia. That's literally what Russia's saying.
Manar, NATO is already on the border. Before that, they were already on the border. There's 4 different countries.
Evidence.
The evidence that it's not an act of war is that when they expanded to the Baltic countries next to Russia, it wasn't an act of war because no war started for 2 decades. The Baltic states joined, I think, in 99.
That's your evidence?
That it's not an act of war, yes. NATO already got on their border, I think, in the 99.
What border? Who? Where did NATO get on the border? Of Russia?
Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the Baltic states.
And that didn't create tensions? I remember it created insane tensions when there were the NATO talks were happening.
No, so as I mentioned, the Treaty of 1997 allowed NATO to expand. And 2 years afterwards, the Baltic states joined into NATO. And it didn't cause a war for decades. Actually, Russia never went after the Baltic states because it was not an act of war. If it was an act of war, NATO would have started a war almost 3 decades ago. So that destroys your argument.
It says here, the former Soviet Republic is now a NATO state, but citizens fear that Moscow is trying to take over the tiny country by making the cost of protecting it too high. So NATO is actually a threat for Russia. Russia is actually having to deal with the Estonians right now. They have to do military actions against the Estonians because NATO is in there.
They joined
in 2026.
in the last century.
2026. Yes, this is 2026. This is an article from
They joined the last century. Nothing happened. It's not an act of war.
What do you mean nothing happened?
What has happened between NATO?
Last century, what are you talking about last century? You're talking about like 20 years ago? 20 years ago?
Yeah, 27 years ago, they joined and nothing happened. The Baltic states never went to war.
Your only evidence is if a nation joins NATO that it's not an act of war.
No, this is a rebuttal.
NATO, that wasn't
this is my
war.
No. That's my counter argument to your claim that having NATO on your border, for example, in Ukraine, is an act of war. It's not. NATO has been on the border of Russia for decades, and nothing happened. NATO expansion is not an actual threat. Russia likes to play the victim, but it's not an actual threat because NATO is mostly a defensive alliance. There's no reason for NATO to go at war with Russia. They have nukes. So back to the actual prompt. How did the
So
US start
it
the
says here,
war?
Russia did look at that as an extreme act of war. They were just so weak at that time in 2004. They were in extremely much weaker position than they are right now, and that's actually what
2004.
started. Yeah, to them, they looked at it as an act of war. They just were much weaker. That's
Oh
literally
yeah,
what Russia's
my bad.
for.
I read the opposite. Yeah, they joined in 2004. In 1999, it was Poland and Hungary. But my claim still stands that it's not a threat. Like, if it was an act of war, when Russia got stronger, why did they go into Ukraine and not the Baltic states? It's not an imminent threat. NATO doesn't want war with Russia. NATO membership will have had actual
Yeah, but
peace.
No, but at that time, Russia strongly opposed Estonia joining NATO. They were much weaker. They recognized that this was actually a red line that is being crossed. That literally what the wording. It's a violation of its security interest and a red line being crossed.
Yeah, and we saw that they were wrong.
Russia
It wasn't a
not
threat. Nothing
happy.
happened bad.
Russia was not happy about
What's bad
Estonia.
about it? What was the threat that came from the Baltic states joining NATO? Nothing happened in 2 decades.
No, there is a threat. There is a threat, and Russia
Nothing
wanted to get
happened.
rid of that coalition, but they could not because they were so weak, and that's actually
Nothing
makes
happened.
much more.
Manar, nothing happened from it.
What do you mean nothing happened from it?
They cried and that's it. No Russians were killed by the Baltics joining. It was not an actual act of aggression like you claim it will be for Ukraine.
Okay, that was 20 years ago. Today, by the way, 20 years ago, it was still an act of actual aggression to them. They looked at it as against going to treaties that they did.
They
in
cried like a
1991.
bitch for a false problem. It wasn't an actual problem with Russia. It didn't harm them. They just cried.
They looked at it as going as an aggressive threat.
Yeah, they cried. Yeah, they cried. Why should I care about Russia being a bunch of fucking bitches?
But that's the whole argument is if you actually care about peace talks, you would actually negotiate in peace talks. You would not just ignore a whole country's negotiations and then act like, oh, well, who cares? Nothing happened. Well, they are telling you we care. They are telling you you are against our actual security interests, and we are posturing in a way to defeat this security threat that we are perceiving.
Okay, let's establish both sides. Your argument is
this actually
yeah, I was talking, Manar, I was making an argument, by the way. I was
this point, though.
Finish.
Because Russia has seen the NATO expansion to Estonia and they've labeled it as a security threat, it's so much clearer now to understand why Russia is so much more scared of NATO expanding in any other territory after that. They were much weaker, and they've been posturing since then to try to strengthen their security risks and threats. And now it's actually giving much more weight to the actual argument that I'm showcasing, that the U.S. was doing an aggression act, a movement of aggression, to try to, even though knowingly, introduce security risks and threats that Russia does not like into the diplomatic talks, and refusing to have any negotiations with the former with the foreign minister of Russia, and actually trying to end any of these aggressions. So this is actually proving my point.
Okay, so let's establish both sides. On the NATO side, you have NATO wanting to have Ukraine join in if they want to, which Russia is against. They say it's an act of aggression. That's starting the war. In your mind, that's them causing the war. Russia sending their men when they don't need to into Ukraine to do a full-scale invasion, that's not starting the war. What's actually starting the war is them rejecting one request. You're insane. This is irrational. Russia is not a fucking child.
You're trying to use Estonia as a showcasing to show me that this was not a movement of aggression. This was actually not.
Okay. What is the threat? No, tell me, what is the material threat?
But you failed. Even in 2004, Russia looked at this as a security threat. Russia mentioned this as an actual.
That's not what I asked. What is the material threat?
Let me finish, please. Russia did use this and mention this as a movement of aggression. They just could not stop it. That's it. That's
not what I asked. That's not my question. My question is, what is the material threat? Not, oh, they whined about it. What is the actual threat? Did Russians die? Did they invade Russia from this point? What happened?
The militarization of Estonia by the NATO military coalition. That's the threat.
Okay, so they cried about it. That's the actual arm on the
Do you
Russian
agree that
nation.
that's a fact?
That
The
No,
militarization
it's
of
not.
your
No,
country?
No, NATO is a defensive alliance. They've never shown that they wanted to invade Russia, and it's irrational to think that NATO will invade Russia. They never did. They never will. Russia has nukes.
But what is the NATO alliance?
It's a defensive alliance. There's a reason for why Russia never went into
But
the
they've never
Baltic states.
defended anything. Everything they've ever done was an aggressive act of force. Everything they've ever done, NATO was an aggressive act of force.
Even if you can say that, you just show that nobody wants to attack NATO because they're so strong. Why would you invoke Article 5? You have the fucking US military, the entire European Commission, like they're so strong, nobody wants to invade them. You just proved my point. It
Like
works
NATO,
as an alliance.
Do you understand that NATO was created as an actual stoppage to the aggression of the Soviet Union? Do you agree with that? Do you understand that?
Yeah,
It was
it's countries
literally
wanting to defend
created to
themselves.
oppose the Soviet Union.
Yeah, because they were scared to being that they could be invaded by the Soviet Union. So what?
So it was created to stop an attack and weaken and stop any aggression from the Soviet Union. So when you tell me these NATO, let me finish, please. I don't know why you're interrupting me. So when you tell me these neighboring Soviet and Baltic nations are entering this alliance, it's a deep security and national threat to Russia and to the former Soviet Union, because that was literally the definition and the conception of that coalition was to attack and threaten this military force.
It wasn't to no. What do you mean? It was to attack them. It was just like a security.
You can
guarantee.
say defend all you want. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Okay, when did NATO attack Russia?
You can use the word defense when I
Russia?
say attack. That doesn't change my argument.
So I guess
you're saying. Okay, wait. I just want to ask this question.
Sure.
Try to answer, please. Without saying Russia was against it, what was the threat from NATO to Russia?
It's a military coalition of weapons that are literally being sold in order to attack and to destabilize. It's a national security threat.
Okay, so no material arm, like you just say, oh, it's a bunch of countries trading weapons together and defending each other. Okay, I mean, if that's your justification to invade Ukraine, then go ahead, make that. You just sound really dumb.
You already conceded that NATO was created to destroy and to destabilize and to weaken the Soviet Union.
No, it's a security guarantee. Countries ask to join. That's why Finland joined NATO after
the purpose of NATO was originally created to counter the Soviet expansionism after World War II. That was literally
Manar, you know that because of the full-scale invasion, NATO expanded, like they doubled the border with Russia. So if it was to avoid the threat of NATO, they did the exact opposite. So it cannot be a justification. By invading Ukraine, they guaranteed that more countries would join NATO. Ukraine could not even join NATO back then because of this Donbass situation, and I'm pretty sure that Hungary would never allow them to join.
Russia tried to join NATO. Russia tried to join NATO, but they refused them. So when Russia tried to join NATO and they refused them, Russia looked at this as any establishment of coalitions with this force that is not accepting any diplomacy or allowing us to enter. If they were actually against the Soviet Union and the Soviet Union has been destroyed, they would allow us. So they're showcasing that they don't want us. They want the neighboring countries. It's clear Russia can look at this as we've tested the NATO alliance. They don't want to accept us. They want to accept other nations next to us. And these nations that are next to us are creating a threat to our security, because even though we want to, there's no more Soviet Union, NATO refuses to allow us to join this, showcasing that whoever is joining NATO is going to be a force that we're going to have to meet with. So,
okay, I just have one question. How did the invasion of Ukraine mitigate the threat?
No, it mitigated it because the whole goal of the invasion of Ukraine was the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. So if you're going to
wait, I thought it was because of NATO. I thought they were forced to invade because of NATO expansion.
Yeah, because of the threat of NATO expansion and the non-stop weapons and support that they were getting from G7.
Manar, more weapons were sent to Ukraine after the full-scale invasion. This caused more Russian men to die. You know that Russia is at its weakest point right now. NATO should invade right now. There will be barely any resistance. So the NATO threat doesn't make sense. Invading Ukraine in the first place made Russia even more a threat by NATO.
No,
So
what
your own
doesn't make
framing doesn't
sense-
even make sense.
What doesn't make sense is declining any of the actual arguments and the facts of the matter, and just
one.
arguing out of all the arguments of how NATO's expansion is detrimental, of what is the coalition of NATO,
Yeah.
and how the previous NATO expansions were looked at as a threatening action and aggressive action. You refuse to accept any of this as part of the actual Ukrainian aggression. You're just assuming that this had nothing to do with Russia's decision to jump in. So can you provide me with any evidence that showcases that Russia was going to do this without the NATO expansion threat?
Yeah, you can look at the incentives. Like the NATO thing doesn't make sense if they were so
Let's look at the
scared.
incentives, huh?
Manar, the incentives
So
is
this
that
guy has no
in your own
evidence.
framework. You just asked me a question like Jesus Christ.
Look
Okay,
at the incentive.
if Russia doesn't
Literally,
want NATO
I'm
expansion,
arguing with
if
NATO.
Russia,
Stop
if
talking.
Russia, if
Let him
Russia,
go.
Well, that's
if Russia
fine. It's
doesn't,
argument with NATO.
Stop
holy
talking.
fuck. If they don't want NATO expansion, invading Ukraine did the opposite. More countries joined into NATO. Finland doubled the border of NATO with Russia. They sent more weapons to Ukraine. They lost, like, at this point, half of their military. They lost so much equipment for this war. That doesn't make sense. It cannot be for NATO expansion. Because if that was the incentive, they did the exact opposite.
I'm not understanding. So what is your argument? Russia was posturing an imperial force. Can you provide evidence for that?
I'm saying that NATO expansion had literally nothing to do with
Can
the
you
full-scale
provide
invasion.
your evidence on how Russia is an imperialist force? Go ahead.
Yeah, they
What
tried
is
to
your
take
argument?
Ukraine. They tried to
That's
take
it?
Ukraine.
I said they tried to take Ukraine. You see
That's
how this
imperialism,
is a
yes.
retard? You see how I'm supposed to debate this fucking piece of shit?
No rebuttal, that's it, buddy.
You're literally a retard. Your only evidence that Russia is an imperialist force is that they tried to take Ukraine. You don't know anything about the history of Russia. You don't know anything about the history of the Ukrainian coalition. You failed the Donetsk question. So I'm going to ask you one more time.
You had a false referendum. You had a fraudulent referendum, and that was it.
Do you have anything to show that Russia is posturing as an imperialist force? Maybe, like, for example, kidnapping a Venezuelan president.
They tried. They tried to take Zelensky and they failed.
Because Zelensky, I don't know if that's true actually, but if
Yes,
that was
yes,
true,
in the
that's
case of-
a different
it was
situation.
No, they tried the same thing. They sent helicopters into Kiev in the Battle of Kiev.
Is that true? Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, show me that.
You didn't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that even the state of Ukraine published like
Show me the evidence.
the comparison
Stop
between.
talking.
Yes. You didn't know about the invasion of Ukraine.
He's pretty sure. Bro, I've tested you 5 times, bro. You fucking failed every single time. I don't care about what you're pretty sure of. You fucking bitch.
They
It's not
literally
how people
sent
debate.
LA troops and a bunch of helicopters to take them, like 400 Russian mercenaries. Kiev.
So your
Assassinated
evidence that
Zelensky.
Russia is an imperialist force that they wanted to, they attacked Ukraine.
They tried to do the same thing. What you said about
What a loser.
no, buddy, what you said about what they did in Venezuela, and it was imperialism. They did the same thing, but they failed because
They
they're
did the same
way
thing.
fucking weak. They're weak. Yes, they failed.
So I just
They sent a bunch
googled
of
it.
helicopters.
I just googled it real
Yep,
quick. There's a
assassination
giant
attempts
Wikipedia
of,
page. Assassination attempts of Volodymyr Zelensky.
Yeah,
The next
it's
one
in
is
the back. I
BBC.
forgot.
Russian plot to kill Zelensky foiled. Kiev says.
Yeah, there's an entire battle. I forgot the name. It's like the Battle of Us. It starts with an H, I think. It was one in the.
Yeah,
It was in the suburbs of Kiev.
these are reported by the Ukrainian security services. Can you show me anything reported by Russia saying that we want to assassinate him? This is the SBU, the Ukrainian security services.
Hold on. Manor, you're telling me that Russia.
I'm not going to believe anything coming from Ukraine. The biggest lying. We saw how many
Okay.
fucking lies came out of them. Can you give me any other
Manor,
source? Do you have any other source?
Manor, my source has to be Russia saying that a secret operation that failed.
Okay.
they claimed
All you have to
publicly.
do is show me 2 sources that agree with each other. One from each part. That's it. So you showed me the
Russia
Ukrainian. Now
wants
show me
to
the
hide that fact. No, they're ashamed of that fact. That's why we know that CIA operations
Zero
failed 20
sources.
years afterwards.
You have 0 evidence from any other source except
You
the
have video-
Ukrainian Secret Service.
can look
That's
at
the only
video
source you
evidence.
have of this,
You can look at
assassination
video
attempt.
evidence.
Moderator, can you do any research to see if there's any evidence besides the
Working on it.
Ukrainian security? security services, the literal SBU, the FBI, the SCIA of America, the most biggest lying organization of all of the world. Did the FBI not lie about Charlie Kirk's assassination? So I'm supposed to accept anything that these three-letter agencies, SBU, FBI, say? I mean, I just want an extra,
Okay, why do you think they sent the helicopters
I just want
into
an
the center of Kiev?
extra reference.
They sent helicopters with 300 mercenaries where Zelensky was. They just failed. Of course, Russia is not going
Okay,
to claim that publicly.
show me the evidence for
Sure,
that
and-
without the SBU.
There's an article that says that a Polish man was arrested in Poland over a plot to kill
From the
Zelensky.
SBU.
No, from
I
Poland.
mean, there's more than one, but it's not the Battle of
Russia,
Potsdam.
was that a Russia plot? Was that a Russian plot?
They
I
said
don't know
he
why the moderator
contacted
has to do your
Russians
research
directly
for you.
involved with the
You
Ukraine war.
asked me not to do the research.
Yeah, you asked me for a fact check.
Yeah, but if you're not going to be able to just find it like this, you're just bringing up, oh, there was a Poland guy that did this, and there's a Polish
Well,
guy
no, you
that
asked.
did that.
The question you
Look,
asked is,
there's
was there a
Finnish
different
guy
country?
that
Wait,
did
hold on,
this
hold on,
and this
Manar.
here.
The
I'm
question you
asking
asked
for
is, was there something outside of
reference.
Ukrainian intelligence that would prove that there was a plot on Zelensky? And I provided you that there was Polish intelligence showing the same thing.
Yeah, but you're not gonna use somebody that's quoting the SBU.
Yes.
I want an actual
No, I
news
put it in.
article.
I put it in research notes. It's because the Polish
Yes,
government arrested
so
somebody.
it-
It wasn't the SBU.
Yeah, by the way, it was called the Battle of Ostomel, one of Kiev's suburbs. They tried to go into the center of Kiev to essentially take Zelensky or kill him, and they failed. I'm pretty sure it was by the Russian airborne units. I mean, I've seen camera footage, but it's like it was a fast operation that fell on its face. Why would Russia brag about it or say it publicly? It was supposed to be secret. That's the type of thing that even the CIA will do it in South America, and we will only learn about it like 30 years later when it's declassified. Like,
So
wait, I just want to know, are you
Yes,
rejecting the claim that they tried to take Kiev?
Because there was many lies when it came to the Ukrainian war. There was the Ghost of Kiev. There was so many different lies.
The
that
Ghost
was
of Kiev
proven.
was a lie online, not by these types of units, not by the actual Ukrainian state.
It was literally a state-sanctioned lie. It was by the Kiev government, literally. It came into their Twitter.
Which part? Which
It was
one?
the Kiev tweeted about them, the Kiev government.
It was a fucking intern that made a post.
So you agree with me that there was a lot of lies during the war? There are a lot of disinformation.
Yeah,
You agree with me or not?
online. Yeah, by people online.
So
Okay. Wait. You know that the actual Russian government tried to claim that the Bucha massacre was a fucking psyop by the Ukrainian police force. That the actual
listen to
mass
me.
graves were created.
I don't want to talk about you. Listen, there was attacks on the city of Donetsk that Zelensky and Ukraine and Kiev said that was a Russian attack, and then Russia said no, this was actually Ukraine. We have evidence to showcase that this is a Ukrainian
evidence?
ballistic missile.
Which evidence?
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you. Do you know about any of these reports? Do you know about any of these reports when they
Are you
were
talking about that
attacking
one missile?
schools?
Wait, are you talking about that one missile?
Yeah,
they
that
tried
one
to claim
missile
was Ukrainian?
hit a school or a hospital, and turns out that, and the Ukrainian government said that it was actually Russia trying to attack us, and Russia said no, it wasn't us, it was the Ukrainian. It came from Kiev.
You can literally see the missile that it's a Russian missile that Ukraine never
But you
had.
agree with me that there was multiple lies. Like,
wasn't a lie.
this idea that you're just gonna give me a random
They
report.
don't-
I'm
not-
supposed to accept it. I don't believe you. No, especially not from that time.
Okay. I mean, if you want to talk about actual war crimes, Russia brags about their war crimes. They literally published the human safari of
Okay,
Kherson.
what war crime?
Look up Kherson human safari. Most of the evidence was provided by Russians publishing it on Telegram. I literally saw like school children. I saw fucking grandmas trying to leave Kherson getting killed by Russian drones, and they published that shit on their own channels on Telegram.
Yeah, in Kherson, they were shooting their own people. The Ukrainians were using human shields in the factories.
Source?
Yes, I
Source?
have a source.
Show it.
We
Show
saw when Lancaster
Send it.
it's a YouTuber. Shut the fuck up, you son of a bitch.
Send it,
Shut
pussy.
the
No,
fuck
stop being a
up.
pussy ass bitch and send it to me. Go. Come on, buddy. Like, by the way, the Kherson Human Safari, you can look at the documentary by Dylan Burns. I'm pretty sure I can send you a link where they compile literally every single video evidence of it. Like, they'll literally publish a video of a drone dropping it on an obvious civilian. You can look, like, they even did a fucking triple strike.
Ukrainians use civilians as human shields. A recent UN report that the Office of High Commissioner for the Human Rights has confirmed the Ukrainian army, as it battles Russian forces for the control of the eastern Donbass region, is purposefully putting civilians in harm's way as a human shield.
Send it.
Fuck you.
Don't crash out, buddy. Stop being a fucking soy boy.
They would take people's homes. They would go and there was a factory that they refused people to allow them to leave, and because they knew that the Russians will not attack the factory as long as there's people in it, there are civilians. They used the Russians.
Wait, you said wait. First of all, you said it was in Kherson. Did you not?
Yeah, I'll present you the Kherson.
This is in Luhansk. This is in Luhansk.
I have multiple references of multiple things that were happening during that war. You're acting like Kherson was the only, crime or whatever you want to act like. There was multiple crimes happening all the time. Like, you agree with that, right? Okay, by TASS. This is by the Russian government. This is TASS. But look here, Ukrainian
By the Russian government. All right, buddy. All right.
Look. Okay, no, but he's allowed to present Ukrainians. Hey, you see the moderator. You see
No,
how
not Ukrainians. Not Ukrainians. Manar.
I'm putting your source up on screen, Manar. I'm literally putting your source up on screen.
Look at him. He's mad that I'm sending him a Russian source. You see how disgusting this piece of shit is? It's okay for him to present.
I'm not commenting on the validity of your arguments. I'm just clarifying points if they need clarified. I can't
to shut the fuck up and accept references.
Manar, I never mentioned any state evidence.
Piece of shit.
Manar, calm down. Calm down.
You fucking shit.
Take a chill pill.
Fuck you fucking piece of shit. You just lied about Kherson. I just presented the evidence right now and you didn't like it. Look at this piece of shit.
You didn't send me anything.
Presented with his sources. But he was okay. He's okay to do that, but I'm not okay to do that.
I started reading your articles.
I never said you weren't okay to do it.
Yeah, Manar. Holy fuck. Kill me.
Both of you fucking bitches.
Bitches, yeah.
Yeah, I would fucking step on your head. I would fucking spit on your mouth. I would fuck your mother. I would fuck your sister. I would spit on your fucking head, you fucking piece of shit.
Manar, if we met in real life, I would.
You.
Manar,
stop.
You up.
Stop.
Manar, if we met in real life, I would rape your ass.
You're gonna be on the ground with no teeth, you fucking bitch.
In your ass.
Fuck you, bitch.
I love you.
Okay, so according to TASS, Kherson, they were using human shields. Now, what's your argument now?
Yeah, I've started reading what you sent. The most blatant war crime on the Ukrainian side is that they didn't do any efforts. I don't even know if they had the resources to do so when they were fighting in cities. When I brought up Kherson, I'm talking about actually hunting civilians. And they post the videos online of civilians walking to the market and they just drop a bomb on them. Then an ambulance arrives to give them emergency care. They bomb the first aid workers, and then the firefighters arrive because there's a fucking fire going on. They bomb the fire site. No, this is a triple tap. This is beyond legal.
This is a different story. This is in March. The Ukrainian government blamed Russian forces for the deaths of more than 50 elderly people. And Russia saying no, this was the Ukrainian forces hiding these people and then attacking them themselves. That's what the actual.
You can look at the actual video evidence. They literally target them. There's not a soldier inside, just a babushka.
You're talking about a singular.
No. The Kherson you meant the Kherson you meant Safari. No, Manar, there's hundreds of people that died this way. You can look at the actual documentary by Dylan Burns. You can look at the compilation of all videos. They posted there's not a soldier in sight, and on dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of videos, you can see them killing civilians. Like literally
videos. I don't care about videos. We already agreed that these videos have been manufactured. There was a lot of disinformation.
Dylan Burns, an independent journalist, went into Kherson.
Do you agree with me?
Dylan Burns went into Kherson. Manar, Dylan Burns is a freelance journalist. He went into Kherson to document on it. On his own.
So what?
He's not funded by any state.
So what did he say?
He's not funded.
What did he say?
That Russia was systematically targeting civilians in the Kherson Human Safari.
And what's his evidence?
Video, he literally said it. Most video evidence was provided.
Can you give me the reference? I want to read this article.
Yeah, go on Dylan Burns TV as a channel and look up the most popular. I'm pretty sure it's the third most popular documentary. You can look at the footage.
Do you know the evidence he used to say that Ukraine wasn't targeting? What's the evidence?
Yes, I'm telling you. most of the evidence was provided by Russian soldiers on Telegram. They published their own war crimes. Most of the videos you'll see were published by soldiers that did the war crimes. They brag about it.
I have to go and find your source for you right now. I have to go find it. Can you find it for me? Can you just give me a source where Dylan Burns tells you?
Dylan Burns TV. I can find you the title if you want.
I don't believe a word you say. I don't believe a single word you say. Every one of your sources was wrong. You don't know anything about the historical facts. I proved you wrong multiple times. I don't believe anything you say. I want references to everything.
Do you remember what the video is called?
I'll find.
Oh, I'm supposed to watch a video?
It's a documentary by Dylan Burns. It's video evidence, of course.
A documentary.
Video.
Already, that's all I need to know that this is a disinformation.
It's
I've never met a documentary that's
by the way, Grignol, if you care, it's called Russia's Human Hunting Ground in Kherson. It's the
so you've seen the video. From the video, what's his evidence?
I haven't seen the video.
Videos of Russian soldiers. Videos by Russian soldiers of them killing civilians.
That's it. That
wait,
video
say
says
the name one more time.
That's it.
Say the name one more time.
That's it.
Do you say the name one more time?
Russia's. Actually, I'll just DM it to you.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
By the way, it's also testimony from the people on the ground, and there's like dozens of videos on it. The introduction is a compilation of these videos. Like, what are we doing? You cannot deny
Manar,
the Kherson human suffering.
Manar,
you cannot deny it. He doesn't. Yep. I send it to you.
I don't know if he does. Yeah. Okay. I see it.
No, he doesn't know. Manar, unmute.
Okay, calm down.
Calm down. Did he just tell me to calm down?
I mean, there's zero evidence of what he claimed except like this.
It's on video. They filmed their own war crimes.
This is a video, like a singular video. Like there is no article that you can link to. It's just hearsay. Dylan Burns saw this. Like who the fuck is Dylan Burns? I don't know.
It's not even testimony. It's not. It's literally the video of the war crime happening.
Okay, present your evidence. Where's your source?
It's the fucking documentary.
Video.
What a nice.
Okay. So I don't care about what Dylan Burns says. He's not a news reporter.
It's on
he's
video.
not a famous person. He's not been proven. He's never lied.
He's physically in Kherson asking people in the neighborhood.
He didn't write an article. He literally just made a video. So like the only
it's a documentary with video evidence of war crimes.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than that.
But there's no way for me to check his references if he's not gonna put them up.
You can look at the videos. The fuck.
Okay, send me the video then. Send me the video. And this
can you send it inside
any reference?
Go to the research notes tab in the Discord. It's there.
I want to see if there's any sources in the comments section or description or anything.
Or it's you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of war crimes in that video. Just be ready.
That's it. That's your only source is that Dylan Burns video. That's it. Do you have anything else?
Videos of the war crimes. Correct. It's footage of war crime and first-hand testimonies by victims of the war crimes. Like it really doesn't get better than that. I'm sorry. Like just consider on that fucking point.
Yeah, but if
just concede.
I don't see where's the Russian sources that he's presented here. Where are they?
It's literally the videos found on Telegram posted by Russians. How do you think he got that footage?
Show me one of his Russian sources. I only see Ukrainian sources. Can you show me any of his Russian sources?
What Ukrainian source?
I mean, he's literally just showcasing like random videos of things that already happened, like a burned car or somebody being hurt.
The end of the introduction. Manar, the end of the introduction is literally a drone footage going onto two civilians, and it cuts when the drone explodes. He found that video on Telegram, published by Russians. It's a Russian source.
That's it. It's a Russian source. That's how you know this is a Russian source.
It's a Russian drone. You have the POV of the Russian drone killing civilians. Like
where is it? What part of the?
It's the introduction.
At the end of
the
introduction.
What's the minute reference?
It's just look at the fucking introduction. It's 1 minute long.
What is the where in? Okay, so
I
it's
give
the
up.
first minute. It's
I
in the
give
first
up. I
minute.
give up.
Okay,
I give
okay,
up.
okay.
I can't find it. His reference is a fucking video. I can't find.
No,
You
we
tell me in the
can
video
talk
why
about
is he
something
pointing
else.
to this
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
I'm supposed to just believe a liar who I've proven to be a liar multiple times. Like I'm not. I don't see anything. Okay,
Go
Yeah, I guys,
to
what war crimes, guys? What war crimes? What war crimes? I don't
go
see
to
them.
wait, stop.
introduction.
Go to 43 seconds into the video. 43 seconds
43
into the
seconds.
video.
43 seconds. I see it. It's words.
Yeah, it's words,
It's
and
like
then play because the background is the drone strike that Putin is talking about.
I know. So this Putin, how do we know that this is a Russian drone strike? How do we know it attacked Russia civilians? What is his evidence
Because
that
it's
this
civilians in the video. It's
like
the
the
civilians.
I don't know why you're talking over me while I'm actually trying to explain something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we
show-
don't
I'm gonna show- I'm
overtalk
gonna show
over
my
here. Yeah,
viewers- I'm
yeah,
gonna show my
yeah,
viewers the
yeah.
video, and I hope moderator shows his video to his viewers. And I want anyone to tell me how does anyone know that this drone is a Russian drone anywhere?
Yeah,
Okay.
wait, are you saying that it's a false flag? That it's a Ukrainian drone that killed their
Can
own
you tell me
civilians?
anywhere shows you how you knew this was actually a Russian attack on Ukrainian civilians? Anywhere. I don't even see civilians.
Who do you think are the two people walking?
Bro, the drone
civilian
cuts off. We don't even know if the drone exploded. I don't even know if these are civilians or military men. I don't even know
There
if
are
this is
civilian
Ukrainian
clothing.
or
It's civilian clothing. It's a drone running into
This
people.
video is your number
The
one
drone
evidence that
literally
there's
ends-
war crimes in
Okay.
Kherson. That's your
Yeah.
number one evidence.
Yep,
This
video
is
footage.
your number one evidence that there's human sacrifices and war crimes and
Yep.
human shield attacks of Russia and war crimes from Russia based on this fucking video, this one right here, this 3-second video,
It's a 1 hour documentary, Manar.
where we don't even see. No, the clip at hand is a clip that is 5 seconds long. That the drone doesn't even explode. It doesn't show any labeling, no branding of
It's
what
the point of
military
view. It's
forces
the
this
point of
drone.
view. How can you see the drone explode? It's the point of view. The camera exploded.
Does the drone
What do
explode?
you think? Hello?
Can you say 100% the drone exploded? It's not in the video. It's not in the
What do
video.
you think? What do you think the video cut?
I don't know. I'm not a liar like you.
You're-
I don't just presume. I don't just assume things. I don't assume things like you. I'm not a liar.
Mhm.
I actually look
Yeah.
at evidences. You have
Manar,
zero
Manar.
evidences.
Okay, Manar. So there's the city of Kherson where there's reports that they bomb the civilian population, and you have a Russian drone POV running into 2 civilians. What do you think happened when the video cut off? You're muted, you actual fucking retard. Like,
Okay, I'm
what
a
are you doing?
retard because I exposed you that you have zero evidence of the human shields and the war crimes of Russia.
Yep.
When I looked at the video, the only video that you linked about this actual situations, about the war crimes, it was a random 5-second drone clip that Rinnycast is laughing at you that you actually think this is actual evidence.
He's
of
laughing at
anything.
me. Yep.
This is hilarious. So anyways, let's get back to this discussion. So your evidence that NATO is not an actual aggressive force is that, look, they've done it before, even though Russia announced that this was a war and a movement of aggression and a posturing of war. You agree with that? Do you agree that Russia didn't like that posturing of NATO with Estonia? Do you agree with that?
It's not an act of war. By the
But
way,
do you
I
agree
found
that
a map
Russia-
of all
do
the
you agree that
reports.
Russia
So,
didn't appreciate it?
Rinnycast, I'm going to send you 2 links, but I'm down to not talk about the
That's
Kherson
fine, Rinnycast.
stuff. I think
It has
we.
nothing to do with the debate. The debate is did America start the war? Okay, so I'm coming back to this.
Yep.
So all I
Thank
did
you
was
It's
for
better
the
for you, yeah.
all I did was prove you're
It's
a
really
liar,
better for you.
Putin. I just proved you're a liar, so nobody can accept any of your evidences now or your transgression on the testimonies that you keep lying about. So now we know that. So that's all I did. But let's get back to the discussion. So your only evidence that NATO entering alliances with the Baltic nations that are around and surrounding Russia is that the last time NATO entered with Estonia and Latvia, there was no war. That was your argument. That's it.
No, I'm saying no. My evidence that NATO is not an act of war. It's that no Russian ever died from NATO membership from other countries.
But Venezuela, no, like America acted like Venezuela was conducting aggression against them, and there was zero evidence that there were American dying because of Venezuela influence.
Yeah, it was America on its own, not NATO.
Yeah, but so you're arguing that NATO is not going to help America if anything bad happens to them?
Yeah, it was without the consent of any NATO. Like nobody knew other than the US
Okay, but
and oil companies.
if there's a nation just like the United States that is
Mhm,
rogue, that is in the NATO alliance,
mhm.
isn't that proof that allowing more NATO members closing in on your situation is a risk of your national security? If a NATO member like
Nope,
America disregarded
nope.
national and international laws
Mhm,
when it came to Venezuela and multiple other
mhm,
references. I'll like this is a historical precedent that America doesn't care.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
just giving you evidences of today of Venezuela.
Yeah, your evidence
Doesn't that prove?
is a president. It's a president that despises the existence of NATO that already violated Article 1. I don't know why you're using behavior by Trump to point it at NATO when Trump
No, I'm
is
talking about
essentially
precedent.
anti-NATO. So no, it's not precedent. And by the way, Russia is not a threat of what they did in Venezuela. Russia is a nuclear country. They're never going to be invaded.
Yeah, but the argument is if NATO nations feel so boldened by being in the NATO alliance
Mhm,
because they know that the defense alliance will defend them if there's an aggression act. Isn't
mhm.
that showcasing that doesn't that give more power to the argument from Russia saying
Okay,
this is a national
no.
security? Let me finish
Mhm,
the argument. Let
mhm.
me finish the argument.
No.
This is a
Yeah, I know
national
your argument. You
security
already made that
threat.
argument.
No,
I
Let
stop.
me
Let
finish
already
him
the
debunked this
argument.
argument.
let him finish the point, and then you can respond.
Oh, he just
Doesn't
yeah,
this
okay.
bolster? Doesn't this strengthen Russia's argument that NATO alliance nations that surround us that join NATO are possibly posturing in for war with us because we see that NATO nations posture for war with other nations.
No, so I just want to establish if Russia was so scared of NATO aggression, going to war with Ukraine was the worst thing possible. NATO expanded
They said it
because
was the
of
least.
the invasion
They
of.
Let
said
him
it was the
respond,
I
least
let you
Manar.
finish.
possible.
I let you
Manar,
finish.
let
I
him
let you
respond.
finish.
Yeah, let him respond.
So you need to drop the NATO argument. If it was such a threat to the nation of Russia, why go to war? They lost half of their military because of it. They lost. Kursk got actually invaded for a year because of that. They lost land to the Ukrainians. They lost so much stuff. Russia, it's at its weakest point. They hit double-digit inflation last year. It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
so
It's not
you're
because of NATO aggression.
proving that.
If they were
So you're proving that the incentive is not to go in war with Ukraine; it's to actually have diplomatic peace talks with Ukraine. So you're showcasing that the incentive that the Russians would want to benefit them and not hurt their actual power is to have peace talks with the country and not allow NATO in. It's not to go
Mhm.
into war with this country. So the
Yeah, what
incentive
ended the
from
peace
Russia.
talks? Wait, Menor, what ended the peace talks? Do you know?
Let me finish. Let me finish. If Russia wants to be strong, and you're arguing that
Hmm?
going into Ukraine weakened them, then their incentive was to never go into Ukraine. You agree with that?
No, okay, it doesn't make sense. I don't like you're like brain broken on this issue. I don't know how to explain
But
it to you
because
any further.
you keep arguing that Russia was posturing for this with zero influence from the West, that no matter what happened with Minsk II and the peace talks coming through or not, that they were gonna invade. That's what you're arguing. That's literally what you're arguing. That's why I have to
Like
argue from this way.
it's not no, it's not forcing Russia to end the peace talks and to invade Ukraine. If even if NATO was allowing Ukraine to join, they still could have peace talks. Russia took the action to invade on their own. Nobody forced that. Yeah, what actually stopped the negotiations was the full-scale invasion.
They
It's
just
not
took the
them.
action on their own. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by when Boris Johnson tells Zelensky don't accept the Minsk II agreements? When
When?
Anthony
When? Wait,
Blinken
wait, wait, wait,
attacks
wait, wait,
President
wait, wait, wait,
Putin?
wait, wait, wait. Manor, when did Boris Johnson even say that? Can you link that to me? Can you give me any evidence? By the way, isn't the Boris Johnson talking point from fucking April 2022 after the start of the war? Yes? Because I thought that Boris Johnson was telling Zelensky to not take the deal after the start of the war.
No, there was an early peace deal.
Really? And what did Boris Johnson tell to Zelensky?
Boris
Do
Johnson
you even
warns
know?
against Boris Johnson warns against the Ukraine-Russia peace deal. There is absolutely no sign that Russia wants to reach a deal with Ukraine, and it could not
Mhm.
be trusted even if one of was on offer. Boris Johnson has told the commissions.
That's
The
it.
former prime minister
That's
warned
it.
against. The former prime minister warned against a land for peace deal and said he doubted Volodymyr Zelensky or any Ukrainian government would agree to any such compromises. He claimed President Putin's position was getting weaker each week and that Britain
Can you
must
listen? Can you send that to
stay
me,
the course.
please? Manar, can you link that?
I know. This is an education session here today. I linked this one right now. And there's a video of him doing this talk.
No. Manar. You. Manar. Wasn't it after the start of the war?
No, because Russia and Ukraine may have agreed. They had agreed to a tentative to end the war in April. So it was after the start, but
In April, the war started 2 months before. Your quote, the thing you're claiming happened after the start of the war. So how is it the cause of the war? Time moves in one direction, Manar, you fucking retard.
Yeah, there wasn't a full throttled war yet. It was just the offensive. It was just the aggression, the early aggressions. Russia was
No, they were
to
trying to take
showcase-
Kyiv. They tried to take Kyiv.
No, stop yelling. Russia was posturing to try to allow these peace talks to show the strength of it, so these peace talks actually go through.
No, the peace talks happened after. The peace talks after. Manar. The peace talks ended when they found the Bucha mass graves. After the Battle of Kyiv. They literally lost the battle to take Kyiv, and after that, the negotiations ended.
That's not true. Russia
To be
and Ukraine
clear,
Yes.
just to clear up the timeline, the first troops entering Ukraine from Russia was February 24th.
Okay. And so Russia would withdraw to its position on February 23 when it controlled part of the Donbass region and all of Crimea, and in exchange, Ukraine would promise not to seek NATO membership and instead receive security guarantees from a number of countries. That was the actual peace talk that Boris.
Manar, the Battle of Hostomel happened in the end of February. The talks you're talking is 2 months after.
Listen to me. The war started
No.
offensive. Oh my god.
No, they tried to take Kyiv. It was a full-scale invasion. They got to fucking the border of
It
Kyiv.
wasn't a fucking full-scale invasion. Stop fucking lying, you son of a
The
fucking
Battle
bitch.
of Hostomel.
You've never stopped lying this whole fucking debate. This is crazy. Renny, are you gonna call him out?
They got to the suburbs of Kyiv.
Full-scale invasion?
Manar,
Yes, the full-scale
the Bucha massacre
invasion
already
happened in February. Yeah.
Yeah, Manar, the
first offensive happened in February. It was posturing to showcase that, hey, you either accept these talks or we're actually in your country right now.
Manar, most land was the first wave. The first attack, the main attack that you're talking about was when they got the most land. The biggest scale invasion was that. You know that the Kyiv front got closed? Right now, the front line got smaller over the years. The biggest front line was at the start of the full-scale invasion of February 2022.
I just gave you. I don't care what you think. The news, according to the article, shut the fuck up. According to the article I just sent you guys, it says the news highlights the impact of former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's efforts to stop negotiations. As journalist Branko.
In April.
Shut the fuck up.
When? When? Wait. When?
The article I just linked to you. Man, what's wrong with this guy? What is happening to this guy?
It literally says in April. Manar, it says in April. The war started 2 months before. The full-scale invasion, the Battle of Kyiv, was in February. Time moves in one direction. So how did Boris Johnson cause something that happened 2 months before?
If Boris Johnson is posturing and saying this now in April after the war started, we can assume this is exactly his posture before the war as well. And I can present you evidences of that as well.
Yeah, show me when he told Zelensky before the war, never make peace with them. How is this the cause of the full-scale invasion? You didn't even know when the war actually started, by the way. You didn't know that the full-scale invasion was in February 2022. By the way, before the debate, I was like, there's no way he's bringing up the Boris Johnson talking point. It's after the start of the war. You're even more stupider than I thought.
So even though I can clearly showcase to you that he refused the negotiation and peace talks after the war and said, do not actually go into peace talks.
Before. No, we're talking about before.
Are you just going to interrupt me every time I speak?
Yes, we're talking about before the war, not after the war.
Okay, well, multiple times they've met with him. Boris Johnson met with Zelensky before the war. We could just assume that he held the same exact stand. I'm gonna
What did he
present you
tell
the evidence.
Zelensky?
I'm gonna present you evidence, though. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
what did he tell Zelensky to start the war? Be
To be
precise.
clear,
Give me an
just
actual
so
quote.
everybody knows, in like 10-ish minutes, we're gonna wrap everything up and we're gonna do closing statements and then we're gonna get the fuck out of here because this has
Yeah.
been horrible.
Yeah. Nah, I got destroyed so bad. He was right. I would
True.
get destroyed.
Easy Manar W, king of debates.
Another W, easy. Boris Johnson avoided promoting compromise peace in Ukraine after Russia's invasion. Now Labour continues to help prolong the conflict to secure British interests. So this is an interest and incentive that British was actually banking on, that the war does not stop. We can assume that they actually they met with Zelensky before the war. We can assume that he actually had the same exact stance. I will present you the evidence that he had this
Yeah.
stance before.
Wait, do you know which? Okay, by the way, you know that Zelensky will never take this peace deal. The actual Ukrainian parliament will never agree to that. You can look at the actual demands by Russia. It was national suicide. They will give up their entire military and there will be like no security guaranteed other than Russia and China. So no, Boris Johnson had nothing to do with it. Ukraine will never take this deal. But I'm pretty sure that back then, 75% of Ukrainians didn't want to give up. Like they will, if Zelensky took that deal, he would have been killed by the Ukrainian population. Like this is insane. You think that Ukraine will have basically killed themselves with that deal? I mean, you didn't even know that the Boris Johnson talking point was from after the start of the war. We're debating what started the war.
No, because that was his whole stance the whole time. It wasn't only that wasn't the first time he spoke. He
Prove,
was
prove to me that
he was always in every G7 meeting. He was always against peace talks with Russia.
Source? No, was he against peace talks or the demands? These are distinct. Rinnycast,
Are you appealing to
are
me?
you there? I just want to know. I keep having like pop-ups on my fucking cam. I don't know why.
You're having pop-ups on your camera?
Yeah, I got like balloons and explosions behind me. I think I'm being attacked by the Russians. It's a
Maybe.
cyber attack.
Yeah. It's the
Yep.
newfangled drones
Yeah,
that they have.
Manar. Yeah, it's a proxy war. They're funding the Syrian military technique.
You're not funny. You're not funny, bro. I don't know why you think you're funny and you're
I wish I was as funny as you. Yes, I wish. I just want to point out, like, my position is Russia started the war by sending their troops. All you have is, well, they didn't stop allowing Ukraine to join NATO eventually, and Boris Johnson did something 2 months after the start of the war. Like, you have nothing. Just take the fucking L, man. Mhm.
my arguments were that the G7 Council was posturing against the peace talks and kept telling Zelensky that we will fund your war effort. After the war started, they kept that same stance, even though new peace talks kept presenting themselves and new diplomatic opportunities of the war aggression to stop kept presenting themselves. Boris Johnson, with the help of G7 Council in the United States of America, told and guaranteed Zelensky, as long as he does not accept these peace talks, that they will fund this war for him. And that's why Zelensky has been so emboldened to come to the United States and to the UK and ask for weapons from these presidents. So this is clearly an effort funded directly by the United States, postured by the United States and the G7 Council countries, that Russia tried their best to decouple from, with multiple different peace talks that were completely throttled by the G7 nations. Not only Anthony Blinken, also Boris Johnson. Evidence. Now, the evidence I presented was finally his actual words after the war. But this idea that after the war he completely changed his stance and that he's completely switched off. That we're not supposed to trust Putin, which is a fucking
Manar,
that's a
Manar.
that's a
Okay,
war.
wait, hold on.
That's a not a diplomatic peace talk. That's a war.
Yeah, don't get
almost
got up.
war
No, let me respond. Don't get got up.
Wait,
So,
wait, hold on. So, Manar, finish your statement, and then Poutine, you can respond, and then we're gonna go to closing statements, okay?
argument is I presented
All right,
evidences to you to showcase that Russia appealed for an after. You're arguing after the war started. I'm arguing after the aggression and prior to the aggression as well. You're going to argue that there was no meetings with the G7 Council before the aggression started. Are you going to argue that? Are you going to argue that?
that's what they had in meetings. Okay, so that started
that-
the war
so-
because that meetings. Ooh, we have to go to war with Ukraine. They have meetings. Ooh.
So if afterwards, after these meetings, this is their posture, why are you assuming that in these meetings that wasn't their posture? Can you present evidence of that?
You can look at the actual public statements. They wanted to have negotiations, but they didn't
Public
want
statement.
Ukraine to give up to
Show me the
everything
public
to
statement.
Russia.
What public statement of Boris Johnson or
Boris Johnson, and I mean, I know afterward, but I remember before the war what countries were saying, and all they said was, we want peace, but if Russia is going to invade, we will support our ally. That's not causing a war. Russia was the aggressor in this situation. They never had to invade. I just want to know, Manar, this one question. What will have happened to Russia if they didn't invade?
On December 4, Blinken told CBS News on
Yeah,
December
don't respond. Don't respond. I just asked you a question, but don't respond.
Let me just say something. Let me just fucking say something.
Yeah.
So, what was your question? What do you want? Why are you arguing? Go ahead.
Yes,
What's your question?
yes. So you said that they had to start the war. It was the U.S. that forced Russia to start the war. What would have happened to Russia if they didn't start the full-scale invasion of 2022?
Well, then if they did not start the full-scale invasion of 2022, Russia would have looked extremely weak. Ukraine would have completely ended the negotiations much quicker, much faster, and they would have started posturing, and they would have started this much sooner, actually. If Russia just sat down, did nothing, and let the peace talks just end, Donetsk region would have been completely genocided. The nation of Ukraine would have been completely Nazified, and there would have been multiple weapons coming from NATO into the border of Russia, and Russia would have not been able to stop this at all.
Okay.
No ability to negotiate out of this, and no ability to fight its way out of this either.
So, Poutine, you can have your closing, and then we'll give it to Manar for the final word. Go ahead.
I'll try to respond to all the caveat that you just gave.
Take your time.
It's really funny I don't know how you can claim that the entirety of Donetsk will have been genocided. Like, it's insane. You can look at the actual casualties. Like, when they essentially almost had a ceasefire, when they barely fought between 2015 and 2021, I think that they had less than 100 civilians dying every year. And that was during the shelling. So no, there wasn't an actual genocide. That's insane to claim. You said that it will have been full of Nazis. Ukraine is less anti-Semitic than Russia. 14% of the Russian population doesn't want to have Jews as citizens. It's 5% in Ukraine. Their former prime minister from 2022 and the president still to this day are both Jewish. What Nazi country has actual Jews at their two strongest at the head of the government? It's insane. It doesn't make sense. The actual Nazi parties in Ukraine all have collectively one party, the right sector, one seat, sorry. So you said that, if they didn't start the war like they had to, but if they didn't, they would have looked weak. Russia looks weaker than ever. We've seen how fucking bad they are. They could not even take Ukraine. And you said that the negotiations will have stopped sooner. They stopped when they did the full-scale invasions. That's what actually stopped the negotiations. They invaded. The peace talks got interrupted by an invasion. So, I don't know if it's a low IQ that you have, mental illnesses, a tracking issue, just you can't logically think. Your position is irrational. As I predicted, you could not make a case for why Russia was forced to start the war. Therefore, I can only deduct that who started the war was Russia, not the United States. So that was a really bad debate. I think you will.
No, that's not a
You
bad
should
debate. I
let.
fucking humiliated
So
you
yeah,
in late
so yeah, I think you should
2021.
take some ketamine, and that was my closing
In
statement.
late
Just take a
2021,
shell pill.
look, just look up any research. Do any research. Failed pre-invasion diplomacy in late 2021 and early
These
2022.
are ending
Negotiations
statements.
between Russia, the
Ending
US, and
statements,
NATO
Manar.
failed.
Yeah, to be clear,
Manar.
these are closing statements. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just making sure you're
The
aware that
debate is
these are
over.
closing statements.
Okay, fuck you, you fucking son of a bitch. This was the worst debate I've ever had. The guy has no inferences or any knowledge on what he's talking about. His only evidence of a war crime in Kherson was a documentary video from Dylan Burns, which he has zero evidence that was a Russian aggression or a Russian drone or even civilians that were attacked. He doesn't even know if there was a bombing because the video cuts off. That was his literal evidence of the war crimes of the Russians. That literally, when I asked him for the evidence, that's what he presented. Now, let's actually have the talk. So today we discussed a little bit. We did go away and try to talk about the war crimes for a little bit, just to showcase to you guys that he's a liar. He doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. He has zero references and sources except Dylan Burns' fucking propaganda video. Fuck you and Dylan Burns, you fucking piece of shit. What a disgusting pig. You're a disgusting pig. You're fucking disgusting. So let's come to the facts of the matter. In 2021, Anthony Blinken with G7 started posturing and trying to tell Zelensky, stop, do not have these talks with Russia. We will help you. We will be the ones to provide you with whatever you want. There was a long list of negotiations. It was obviously Russia threatened that if these negotiations are not going to go through, we're going to have to end up in a full-scale invasion. Disregarding that, the US and NATO alliances, with the help of the G7, decided, you know what? Let's do this. We're going to fund the Zelensky, and what we're going to do is we're going to sanction Russia. So the G7 countries ended up, and what our friend here wants to argue, he wants to forget all the negotiations and peace talks before. He wants to forget all the meetings with Anthony Blinken and Boris Johnson in 2021 with Zelensky. He wants you guys to forget all the talks about NATO being posturing in front of the border of Russia from the east now, from fucking new places that Russia refused. He wants to forget about Donetsk region and the 2014 terrorism attacks against them. He wants you to forget about the actual referendum that he didn't even know existed. He had no idea of it, of 89% of the Donetsk region wanting to decouple from the Ukrainian Nazis. He wants you to forget all of that and only assume that Russia just wanted to go in, weaken itself, conceding. He conceded this. Russian aggression in Ukraine and putting the boots on the ground and having a full war scale weakened Russia, weakened its posturing, annihilated its actual forces and its civilian and the military capabilities of it, and reduced them by a huge margin. All for what? So they can do what? So they can get what? So they can get sanctioned, so they can actually be destroyed economically, so they can be attacked, militarily by Ukraine forces inside with drones. Is that why they wanted to start this war? No, there was clear cut negotiations. Minsk 2, these failed. After these failed, you have to agree with me, Minsk 2 failed before the war, and that's actually what started the war aggression. And that was also supported by the G7 councils and United States and Anthony Blinken. Go fuck yourself, okay? Fuck you and your mother, you fucking bitch. So this son of a bitch has zero evidence besides him conceding that the incentive is not Russia to go invade. The incentive of Russia is to have diplomatic peace talks. The incentive for Russia is to actually posture in a diplomatic way, because they're actually realizing it's going to weaken them a lot to have this war. Instead, he's arguing against the Russian incentive, against the actual Russian ability for them to better themselves and create prosperity for themselves. They went and invaded Ukraine, even though there were peace talks available to stop the invasion. Is that the argument? You can go fuck your own mother, you fucking son of a bitch dog. This idea that there were actual peace talks that were open, that Ukraine was...
He's still yapping, holy fuck!
Go fuck yourself. You have zero evidence of any peace talks.
What the fuck? What are we doing?
You have zero evidence that Russia refused these peace talks. The only evidence is that Ukraine refused all of them, posturing with the help of G7 and the United States and Boris Johnson, posturing and trying to show strength in the face of the fucking aggression of the Russians. And that's all you have. You have nothing else. Your only argument that after I showed you the evidence that Boris Johnson said that peace talks with Russia is a complete farce, and that there's nothing good that's going to come out of them, and that we should not fulfill these peace talks or negotiations, your only argument is, oh, this happened 2 months after the war. This happened 2 months after the war. Well, don't you believe that this was his own fucking stance the whole time from 2021? And there is evidence of this, because since 2021, they've been posturing and telling Zelensky, do not accept these peace agreements. And
Rinnycast, you need time limits. This is insane.
Fucking bitch, shut the fuck up. And until Minsk 2 failed, these agreements, the war and aggression did not happen until Minsk 2 agreements failed. And these failed because of the help of Boris Johnson, G7 councils, and Anthony Blinken's defense secretary of defense.
So are we done?
Policies.
Yeah, I think we're all good. I think we're wrapped.
It was somehow like worse and better than I thought.
Love you.
Manar, I love you so much, Manar.
You're a trash debater. What's your evidence
I'm a
against
trash
that?
debater.
What's your evidence that Russians did war crimes?
I think the debate's over.
Yeah,
No,
the
what's his
debate's
evidence
already
again? Fucking loser. Yeah, humiliate.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, the Russians killing people on cam. Yeah.
Give a fuck. Fuck you. Fuck your mother. Fuck you. You fucking bitch. Fuck you. You fucking piece of shit.
Hey, Reno, I think he has a favorite word.
You
It starts with
face
A.
to face with me. Come face to face with me. I'm in Kansas. Come to me.
S.
I think that would be an amazing video. Me and you boxing each other, punching you in the face, and then spit on your face.
Manar,
would
I
love
don't
that
know
video.
if you'd want a boxing match with Poutine. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I do MMA, buddy. You don't scare me.
Why not Putin? Are you scared?
I do MMA, buddy. You don't scare me.
You're fucking trash. Did you know about the referendum? 89% of the Donetsk region wanted out.
I
You know
heard 3 years ago that it was a corrupt referendum. I actually forgot that it was that bad.
Besides
Thanks for
did you have
reminding
any
me.
other sources?
I mean,
the
Reno
SBU.
told you when you explained it, you actually like forgot about them. It's a fucking issue. But the debate's over. You lost. It's fine.
In the SBU, do you have any other sources?
Manar, the debate is done.
Are
You
we-
lost. It's
You,
okay.
we good?
you and your fucking piece of people.
I think we're
Fuck
good.
You.
All right, love
I
you,
think we're
Poutine.
good.
Thanks for coming.
I love you.